Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Live broadcast of the Yorkshire Power Up Tour. We're out here for stage number 5. We are on the Rouler stage, and we are doing the Royal Pump Room 8 course for one lap out here today. From what I'm hearing, this is probably the hardest course. Now, it might not be the most difficult race or slash ride that we have had out here with multiple laps of the UCI Harrogate, most likely being a little bit more difficult because of the distance that's being covered, as well as how much of the climbs that are being taken on over and over again. But it's definitely, as far as one lap goes, taking on all of the most difficult sections of the course out here today. So for those of you just tuning in for the first time for the Power Ups Tour, this is a 6-part event series. All of the Yorkshire routes are being used, and each one of the routes are going to have different corresponding power-ups specifically for that route. Today is the Ruler stage, means it's going to be arrow power-ups and breakaway burritos. The Ruler stage is an event that will make you focus on your inner powerhouse, will pure strength and power will be the best to take on the tough Royal Pump Room 8 circuit. Your best bet here is to do anything you can to stay in the bunch and use power-ups to bridge a gap and make a break. The total distance for one lap is 27.5 kilometers, and it is also one lap is 490 meters of elevation. So, difficult day out there. For those of you just tuning in for the first time, and all of you regular viewers, you do know that there is integration with the social of the media is out here. So if you do want to integrate, if you do want to integrate, if you do want to hang out, as Phil Price is doing right here, let us know that course hurt. I did it 6 hours ago. That nasty 16% gradient near the end. So it sounds like people are already finding out what kind of difficulty that we're in for the day here. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to jump right in with the women's race out here today. We did get some feedback yesterday, and we definitely want to address that with the settings on this ride. And since it is more of a ride, there was some chatter actually about that in the Facebook chat prior to the start of the race today. Because it is a ride, and the way that it is organized, it is a little bit more difficult to cover each one of the categories because it is a mass start race. And so we tried to follow along. Also, Zwift Power was not working yesterday. And the comment yesterday that we did get was, hey, can we get some more coverage of the women? We absolutely want to do that. We absolutely are trying to follow along with each one of the races. And we will do our best today to make sure that we're jumping in with the women. I am seeing that Yasmin Biggins, as well as Mary Klein, it looks like Giovanna Fantusio, as well as Tanya Suncow, and it's going to be Eleanor Heggis there. That's going to be our Hegset here. This is your current, I believe it's going to be 5th place out on course. She's being chased down by S. Mander out there out of the US of A. We're going to keep on moving forward here, and we did find it looks like Giovanna with it looks like Tanya Suncow. They've averaged about 3.0 to 3.8 watts per kilogram so far. Yasmin Biggins from Team Fearless was absolutely hammering the other day, and I believe was able to walk away with a podium in one of our power up tours here. I am seeing Klein here. It looks like looking to perhaps bridge a gap here, jumping onto a few of the wheels here. But M. Klein out of the US of A on to the sprint section in a moment here. Looking to be chasing down, it looks like Yasmin Biggins. It is a 2-second gap between Mary Klein, and it looks like the gap just ahead to the ZRG rider as well as Carlson. It is a 25-second gap at the last checkpoint, though, for Mary here up to Yasmin. We're going to keep on moving forward, see if we can find Biggins out here, follow along with our race leader. Burgess here, though, it's interesting to see perhaps just jumping out on course here. 0.4 in, maybe just joining the race. I think late join of the race slash ride, as it is a ride. I think you can join late in these events actually. So Biggins here, 19 seconds back, 6 seconds back from Stephen Titgat here. Now BZR Zwift Belgium is in the house racing today, so we'll definitely try and keep track of what's going on with Stephen. It's always good to see him out there racing. Long-time racer. Some of the earliest broadcasts that we have ever done, Stephen was involved with. So good to see him out on course. I am seeing Austin Brock here. I did see he's jumped into each one of the race broadcasts so far this week, but he said today's going to be a recovery day, as already the day before yesterday he was saying just not enough fitness and unable to hang on toward the front end of the races. But let's go ahead and move our way forward and see if we can find the front end of the A category. I did see Casey Shum out here. I believe he is going to be streaming over on Twitch as well, so if you do want to catch a first-person point of view racer perspective out there, make sure to head on over toward Casey Shum's channel. I believe we can find him pretty quickly here. And here he is from Team Experimental. The attacks are on, though. It looks like Daffin Williams and James Hodges are all over this here for the KRT team. James Hodges did walk away with one of these the other day, and I believe Daffin here is looking to repeat that. BRT, though, is closing things down. Kaiser is out here alongside Robertson from the BRT team. A solid chase group behind here. I believe there's got to be at least 15 riders as they do go under the lap finish banner for the UCI Harrogate here. So looking through, it looks like new profile DOT feature on Zwift Power Live is what I am hearing. Pretty awesome to see, something that we definitely want to highlight. So just so everybody knows, on the over on ZwiftPower.com, for the live tab, if you haven't checked it out yet, there is a new tracker of the riders that you can follow along with, and you can see exactly where their position is out on course. So I went ahead and selected Yasmin. Now I selected Mary Klein. It looks like Biggins, okay, at the top of the live tracker with SwiftPower.com. I could probably just bring this up actually on my desktop here to show you guys this new feature, which is pretty dang cool actually. So let's go ahead and just bring this right on in. But just so you guys know, new feature, SwiftPower.com. Head on over here, and you'll be able to see what is going on here. I'm going to make sure all of our tabs are, are closed and maybe not show too many that we don't need to. But as you can see here, this is SwiftPower.com. If you have not been here before, this is where a lot of the tracking of the events, of the community events, does take place. And this is the new live tracker, so you can see where the riders are at out on course. I believe it says Biggins Fear at the top here, possibly because that is the lead rider. I'm wondering if I can actually select the rider behind. Perhaps James, while he hammers off the front in the A category, will let us know. For those of you that are unfamiliar with ZwiftPower.com, we'll do a quick little look through here and show you exactly how this all works. Sign-ups here. You can also, it also has the ride description. You can change the category you're looking at. You can go to all, etc. Results, they're obviously not going to be up yet. Your sprints and your KOMs, you can have your preems, etc. And then here is the live. So new live tracker. I'm going to go ahead and select the A's, and you can see where they're at. It looks like B. Gibbs here, I believe for VCV, is off the front a little bit here on the attack as they do hit a climb. Now, this gradient is interesting. Perhaps the profile not really showing us the reality of what the gradient's like at 4% right now. But that's SwiftPower.com. New live tracker is up over there, so go ahead and check that out. And if you haven't signed up with SwiftPower.com to get your races tracked, make sure to connect your Zwift with SwiftPower.com. You do that through your connection screen over on Zwift. So sign over to Zwift.com, and there's a little third-party connection screen. If you connect the platform, then your races will be tracked over there. So in the front now, we do see it looks like Gibbs is off the front 2 seconds, and the live tracker there was absolutely right. Good to see. Hodges here trying to chase things down, 5.6 watts per kilogram coming from him. Now going right on past, actually. Breakaway Burrito is on here from D. Odd, as you can see, coming out of the US of A. Gibbs looking to follow things up here from VCV now. It's going to be a short race, only 17 miles out there today. So not going to, but the reality of the difficulty, I think, of the race may make it a little bit longer. But I'm thinking we're looking at about a 40-minute race or so out here. Looking over at chat, looks like, I think it highlights just the leader, but still cool though, Ryan Devlin. I have a feeling that after that, Hodges might be like, oh, we can select riders. Maybe we can map that to the riders above, to the rider who is being shown with the nameplate up above. That'd be pretty cool if you could select the rider in there and then see exactly where they were on course. And I know that, as always, Hodges is listening to the broadcast right now. I wouldn't be surprised if it was implemented before the end of the day, if it's possible. If it's possible, that man almost always makes it happen. But back in with the racing action here. I am seeing that we do have Biggins here, I believe, still off the front right now. Here's 105th place, though, with Grogan now, as well as Burgess. I think this is the battle for second and third place, perhaps, but I'm going to double check here and see. But Burgess here, excuse me, not second and third place. We're looking at looks to be 7th and 8th place, actually, out on course. Yasmin Biggins still leading things out, and she's got a good gap, but it's not enough to be clear just yet. Looks like Stephen Titkat here looking to work together with her a little bit as they do come through this next section of the course. It looks like it's going to be a sharp downhill in just a moment. Stephen here, 3.5 watts per kilogram. Biggins looking to grab back onto that wheel, but not going to be happening just yet, as Biggins still has about a 40-second gap over Mary Klein. Mary Klein is battling out, though, with Eleanor Hegseth just a little ways back from here. Let's see if we can move back just a little bit and find the women's battle here going on. And the gap here is about 10 seconds. Klein almost going to be able to see Eleanor in the rearview mirror here in just a moment. So this is the battle for second and third place here out on course. Back in with the boys as they're looking at second place right now with Diot Robertson from BRT. And it looks like the gaps we're forming a little bit behind M. Wood, just hanging out in the back here. Sandy's, Casey, Shum, Hodges. I believe on this flatter section of the course, nobody's going to be too interested to try and making any kind of a chase just as of yet. Or excuse me, breakaway just as of yet. Going to wait for the next section of the course for any kind of a breakaway situation. Looking at what's coming up here, though, we've got a sharp downhill in just a moment. And then, now I'm wondering, do they hit up this KOM again? I'm going to take a look here at the profile. There is some, I mean, if you take a look at this corner profile, actually, you guys, this looks extremely difficult. And I do not believe it's actually represented well up in the upper right-hand corner right now. I do not believe that course profile is exactly everything that we are going to be covering, actually, on the day. Let's take a quick look at this again, because this is absolutely monstrous of a course profile. Hodges, again, on the attack, though, a little 2% uphill gradient, 7 watts per kilogram. Raising that heart rate up about 5 beats at this point. Gibbs responds, kicks into 6 here. It looks like Gibbs now going across now. Kaiser going to try and follow. BRT getting on this, so it looks like 3 on the front. KRT team, KISS Racing team, VCV, BRT, the Bolt Racing team there. Big Lard there coming out of the Netherlands, following as well. D-Ott now, 2 seconds back. It's all strung out, though. The elastic is starting to snap on this little downhill gradient. Now 5% downhill, lots of speed build up. Avatar's up and out of the saddle. This is a dangerous moment. There has been a split. There is no draft, it looks like, at this point for Rigdig. Now Rigdig is going to have to get across there. It looks like Robinson as well. 1 second. Now the arrow power is being popped here. Phillips is in the house, though. Be watching out for this man. As we've got, it looks like Robinson and Van der Heijden on this sharp downhill, 13% downhill gradient, and the speeds get high at this point now. 56, 57 miles per hour now on the downhill. Jay Phillips takes over toward the front end of the pack. Arrow power is being blown, and that's where the danger comes in. 11 watts per kilogram coming out of the Dutchman, going off the front, and that is going to be Van der Heijden now. Going off the front now. Wood there backing off the 3 watts per kilogram. And the gap has been formed. He's going to have some continuance, though. The speed is going to come rolling right on through from that pack. And those riders that are behind that are gaining the advantage of the draft from the rest of the pack will carry their speed right on through onto this flat. And he's going to have to hold at least 2 watts per kilogram higher than the riders for quite a while here now. Looks like he's doing just that. Robertson's continued to take the poles here, but Van der Heijden here extremely motivated. The Dutchman, as you can see, up and out of the saddle, absolutely killing this break now. C. Smith sees it as a threat, it looks like. Goes into some orange numbers and gets a gap. Robertson follows it up here. Diot in a 6.2, and now the race is really on, because this second kick is always the one that really hurts, especially into an uphill grind like this on this false flat. Now things are absolutely spreading out, and it looks like Kaiser now 6 watts per kilogram. Gibbs as well. Hodges. Everyone just looking for a wheel, trying to find some reprieve from the suffering that is happening out here. Diot, a little bit of no man's land. grabbing back on the wheel. Robertson there, 5-4, takes the pole for them, and it looks like Gibbs is going to come across. We've got 5 on the front. Kaiser's got to shut it down now. BRT might be left out of the race if he does not, but it's still on the front. The ruler of the ruler stage, Van der Heyden, showing us exactly how you get that done. The Dutchman here. And it looks like head down, hammering 359 watts right now. It was into the 400s for quite a while, and that's how you win a ruler stage, that's for sure, as they break Wood as well. Break M. Wood. Looks like Dafford Williams as well. It looks like Hodges here made the gap, but it's going to be Wood and Rigdit and Williams on the chase. Nando, Phillips behind it, McCormick. It was just too much of a pace on that falls flat uphill gradient there, actually, it looks like. And said and done with the break. 5 seconds is what it is, but is there motivation to hold off the likes of Dafford Williams, C. Rigdit, and M. Wood there? Robertson on the front there, 3-6. Backing off, though, a little bit. Doesn't look like this is going to be a team effort amongst these riders. It looks like they're a little bit more interested in backing off and resting, getting some reprieve after that. But with a 7-second gap and this large of a pack, a little bit of turn at the front, it's going to shut things down pretty well. 4.2 watts per kilogram for that chase, and I believe that gap is just going to continue to go out on the day here. Back in with chat, CS Tricks is asking for a fence. Tricks, why do we want a fence in this broadcast is what I'm wondering. Is are you asking for a fence because it's not a race, or are you asking for a fence because things just hurt way too much right now? We're looking through here, and Casey Shum is saying, give me a fence. Ben flat so far. Last half is ugly, we're hearing as well. Whoop, whoop, Nathan is back. Popcorn again. Thanks for, of course, Vegan Rabbit. Good to see. I did it once last hour. CS Tricks is letting us know. So says that it's insanely painful on the day here. So good to see over at Twitch. Just so you guys know, those icons in the below the comments, that is where the viewer is and where the comment is coming in from. So if you're wondering, hey, why am I not seeing the chat that's being the chat that's being brought in from each of the platforms here, that's how you know. We can you can see that the Vegan Rabbit's over on Twitch, as well as Hugh Bike here making a little fun of Casey. You can also see Ryan Devlin saying, excuse my grammar, it's 4 a.m. and I'm at work. Good to see you, and thanks for tuning in at 4 a.m., Devlin. Really appreciate it. Osenbrook, as you can see here, jumping in. These Zwift Ride tours are great. They should be scheduled every 2 to 3 weeks, a little bit for everyone out there, day after day. Bjorn, I agree with you, and I actually hope that we can get them tracked with leader jerseys and things like that. That would be pretty amazing, actually. So, as you can see, each of those icons did change, and so you can see where people are tuning in from and where you can go to watch the chat alongside them is with the broadcast. All right, the attacks are on, it looks like here. From what we're hearing, the second half of the race gets even more difficult. Hodges now 6.9 watts per kilogram, along with Hayden going off the front here. Van Hayden, though, on the full-on attack. I believe we're onto the KOM here at this point, about to come over the top now. Will we have a sub 2 minute as Hodges looks to come across? 7 watts per kilogram. They've got a 6-second gap, and Hodges, already being a breakaway expert in the tour here so far, has won a race off the front, but he's not going to be joined by Van der Heyden unless, well, he's not going to be joined by Van der Heyden unless he's got a little bit more wattage to give at this point. As we'll see, Hodges now 6 seconds back now. Robertson there 10 back, as it seems looked like, the BRT team. Van der Heyden, though, unattached rider, going away here. Smith there coming from Innovation, just fading here, looking to try and hold on at 6 watts per kilogram, it looks like. Fading at 6 watts per kilogram doesn't seem like something you would usually say, but at the front end of this race, we've got some serious talent, as it seems. 2:06 is a crazy fast time over the top of that KOM. Using the breakaway burrito right away. Interesting use there. I'm not sure. Perhaps he used that before he went under the KOM. Hopefully he did so, because that is not a very useful burrito without anybody on his wheel to try and break away from. Robertson and Hodges here getting together, but Hodges needs to close the gap down, as he does not have a draft at this point. Has Hodges been broken? That is not something you usually see out here. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at our course profile and see what's happening between the riders at this point, using the live, the great new live course profile that we can bring up here, as it looks like for the men's side of things, in the A category, you can and see exactly what's going on here. We want to definitely highlight this today just so everybody knows. New course profile live tracker over at zwiftpower.com. So you can see where each one of the riders are at. Van der Heyden, you can see the gap that he does have on this little downhill section as they're heading back toward the sprint banner in just a moment here. You can also see what the, it looks like Van der Heyden though with the DQ on the day. Interesting to see. So Ben Gibbs in the virtual lead, perhaps. We'll have to wait and see what's happening with that. 5.0 watts per kilogram. Not exactly sure why. Maybe without registration or something like that. But he still is off the front. And the reality is, guys, it is a ride, not a race. Back in with the women's side of things, it does look like Team Fearless is still in the lead. But Mary Klein is holding on to this 45-second gap with Eleanor Hegeset there sitting in third. Giovanna Fontuccio there with 4:41 back from the absolute leader on course, but only about 2 minutes back from Yasmin Biggins. So Biggins still on the front of this race. Let's jump in with Mary Klein and see how things are going on her climb as they're just starting the KOM. You can see their little dots here, but we can see the live feed here of the rider as she's jumping out on course here. It looks like here's Klein with about, as we did see earlier, almost a 1 minute gap, and that's going to probably continue to go out as I do believe Yasmin's almost to the top of the KOM here. And here is Biggins, your current leader in the women's race, riding for Team Fearless here out of the UK. On that Tron bike, hammering away with, it looks like Van Dijk here right on the wheel. Luton there from the BZR team, a little ways back from the Belgian Zwift racing team. Carmo here trying to chase things down out of Portugal here. So looking through the chatter here, good to see Dave Ranson. Dodgy setup, Dave Ranson is saying over at, so, and again, definitely want to encourage everybody that's out there racing. You know, the reality is, / riding, it is a ride out there today. Yes, we've seen perhaps a little bit of a DQ on one of the riders there, but not necessarily a ride or a race where we want to name and shame that. But at the end of the day, Zwift Power does track the ride out there, and so it will have results. And with the way that the event is set up, it will call riders and hold them accountable to certain standards out there. So, but Van der Heyden there, out of the Netherlands, is off the front. It looks like 40-second gap for Van der Heyden here at this point. But back in with the men's race, as we do chat about it, we are looking at 6th place with Hodges here, 4 watts per kilogram. Looks like it's a little bit of hand holding time. Look at the heart rates. Definitely falling down at this point as the riders are starting to think about this second half of the race. 10 miles in, 7 miles to go out there today for the riders to finish up out here on this course. So back in, though, it looks like Gibbs here now, as you can see, VCV. 22 minutes of racing, 16.3 kilometers. Van Eyck is there as well. Smith there toward the front trying to take a pole. I wonder if they're going to try and bring back the Dutchman that is out the front. It is a 41-second gap. That is some dangerous time. They might not be too interested, as a lot of these riders are most likely watching the broadcast, watching Zwift Power, and keeping eyes on how things are developing over there. So Daryl Carter's letting us know the second KOM is hard so soon after the first. It is a quick turnaround here, isn't it, here, Daryl Carter? So it'll be interesting to see how that ends up playing out here on this second climb up over the top. Now, a quick little turnaround, and here we go for the second time up here in just a moment, I believe. So, and I think the quick turnaround, that is because they head in toward the little four-way, make a couple of turns, and then head right back on toward that KOM out there. So it'll be interesting to see. I think we are jumping back over toward it here in just a minute or two here. But Hodge is now looking to close things down, it looks like, off the front a little bit again. Well, a little bit of on the poles here. So Hodge is willing to do some work. Robertson and Van Eyck there, as well as Kaiser and Biglar. So looking through who's made this lead group in the A group, we do have, it looks like, Ben Gibbs, Carl Smith from Innovation, Gerbert van der Biglar riding unattached is out there, James Hodges, obviously, for KISS Racing Team, Keith Robertson from the BRT, it looks like, Bart Kaiser also riding for the Bolt Racing Team, Douglas Ott was in this group, was unable to hang on through those attacks. Douglas Ott has averaged 4.8 watts per kilogram, but it goes to show how important it is to be able to know how to ride Zwift, know how to draft and tactically race Swift because even though he's averaged 4.8 watts per kilogram for the duration of the race, he found himself off the back of this pack. Probably lost contact with the wheel out there, actually, coming through some of the downhill sections, and that is where things can get really dangerous, actually. So back in with the front end, though, of the race, I am seeing Hodges again on the attack here. As we were looking at Hollis there for just a moment, along with Biggins, it looks like Biggins still leading things out in the women's category, in the B category out there today. She's really opened up a gap, actually. It looks like Biggins is most likely going to walk away with this one. Currently 42nd place overall, first place for the women, and it looks like it's going to be all said and done here for that race now. So, well, not said and done. I mean, anything could happen out there still, but I believe Biggins is going to walk away with this one. Klein is going to be battling it out, though, with Eleanor, as it looks like there is the possibility of Eleanor Big Step being caught here. I'm going to see if I can find that battle out here, as there's only about a 10-second gap between the riders here at this point. Now, a little bit of a lot of the riders are all passing each other, which is kind of cool to see out on course here. We're going to take a quick look at Hodges' perspective, and as we do look at it here, we are seeing that he is climbing the KOM for the second time here. On the other side of the course, though, you can see the other riders coming by, and since the friends list on the right-hand side is your riders nearby, you can actually see who is going by as they pass on the downhill for the KOM. So as Hodges climbs the other side of the KOM, he does have an 8-second gap here. So Hodges 358 watts per watts at about 5.7 here. He's opened up a gap, and he's looking to chase down the Dutchman up ahead. But all the riders on the right there that you're seeing are flying by on their downhill for the KOM, actually. So cool to see all the other riders. They do pass them by here. Over the KOM, it looks like at a 156, it looks like Vander hiding there. 209 for Hodges there. Robinson trying to chase things down just a little ways back now for that BRT team. So, and it looks like Robertson, as we jump in with him, there's the chase. Almost out of sight, though, is James Hodges up ahead, actually. So we'll see how that ends up playing out here between these riders. Moving backwards just a little bit in the women's race, I do still see Biggins here leading things out for the women. I'm going to move back here, see if we can find the chase, though. I believe it's going to be Klein, but I'm seeing the gap has gone out to almost 2 minutes here. But Hegset here, Eleanor Hegset, Mary Klein, has been caught by Eleanor, the Norwegian rider, actually. This was a solid effort here. Patience now was what it looked like from Eleanor. Alstenbrock here working together with the riders now at this point. Mary Klein is going to have to step things up a little bit, as looks like Hegset now immediately getting a 2-second gap, it looks like. Mary Klein needs to make this happen, or it's not going to be a second-place finish for her out there today. She had a wheel to grab onto, but Eleanor here grabs an immediately 3-second gap. Klein with a little lapse of concentration, it looked like there for a moment. Hegset now 4 seconds as she looks to grab on a breakaway burrito, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to be helpful here. Perhaps just looking for any kind of help using that breakaway burrito, but it looks like Eleanor now with 7 seconds here has gotten the gap, and now second place is being established. She has a few riders to work with here, and that, you know what, the situation that most likely happened there on that downhill, you come into a flat and so much speed is carried along, a lot of times that can catch you out. And I think that's exactly what happened there, is that you think that you just need to match the watts per kilogram of the rider that's coming along, but it's still about speed. It's still about speed. No matter what kind of power that you're putting out there, the power has to produce the speed. And because of the physics in game, physics in real life, same kind of thing, because you do not have that feedback of the, you don't quite have as much feedback in the game, and as far as depth perception, the wind in your face, knowing how fast you're going, being able to kind of judge how quickly riders are coming up upon you. It can be difficult to judge how much faster you need to be pedaling, and a lot of times people do try to just match the watts per kilogram, but since it was on a downhill and Hegset was traveling faster, Mary went ahead and tried to match the watts per kilogram. It did not help her in that situation because the speed went flying right on by. Immediately it was a 2-second gap, and it looked like there just wasn't enough left in the tank to close things down. So all said and done here for the riders in the women's race between second and third place here. At least not all said and done, but it's definitely the break has been opened up here at this point. We'll see if Mary can fight back or at least hold on to that third place on the day here. Back in with the men's race, though, it looks like Hodges out in no man's land. He opened up a gap here. He did this just the other day, too. And James Hodges, 5.9 watts per kilogram, it looks like, able to grab a 17-second gap here. He's got about 4 miles to go. 4 miles to go, little under 10K. And we're seeing Robertson trying to make the chase here. There's only 2 behind, actually. And that is going to be Robertson and Smith that did make a chase group over the top of that KOM, actually. So we'll see how this ends up playing out between these riders. There is going to be a couple of little climbs here up ahead before they do hit the finish line. They've done the bulk of the climbs here at this point, I believe. Hodges does have 24 seconds, and Smith is saying, no, this isn't over. Heads to the front. Gives a little kick now, 180 beats per minute, though. It's serious suffering here. So these boys are working. They do not want to allow Hodges to go. And I think the reality of this course is starting to kick in as nobody is anywhere near 5 watts per kilogram at this point. Just holding steady at their tempo, I believe. Or threshold even at this point here. We are seeing Vanderheiden there, again, kicking at the front there, 10 watts per kilogram. As well, this is actually the brunt of the work. Excuse me, I didn't know we were climbing this. What are we going to call that? I feel like we're in the Shepherd's Pass or something. There's probably got a real life name that I need to get familiar with. So chat, let me know. Let me know what this is called in real life. I want to call it because of all the sheep and it's got this rocky overpass thing going on and I don't know, you kind of have this feel that you're out in this area where there's shepherds and sheep and more sheep and shepherds. So let me know what that's called, though, if chat does know. But Hodges here now, 2.6, backs it off. He's about to hit the monstrous climb, going into 22% gradient now, 16% gradient, steady over the red numbers here. 41 seconds up here. Robertson's going to have an opportunity along with Smith here to close things down, but they're going to have to really kick to bring this back as Hodges has 7 watts per kilogram to give. Robertson now, 4.2. 161. The heart rate's probably going to come up to 10 to 15 beats as they did rest before this one. So they have been bringing those heart rates right on down. Immediately, C. Smith does get a gap here. Robertson now trying to close things down. Looks like Smith, though, able to grab about 12 meters. On the uphill grades, obviously not going to have as much of a difference here on the draft. It's only 7 seconds up to Hodges. The motivation is there for Smith. Smith might be going across here. Hodges maybe even interested in allowing Smith to come back. Now backs off, though, as Hodges been broken. 165, is he waiting? Now that 8 watts per kilogram, though, Smith is going to come up to his wheel like a freight train and go flying right on by, but perhaps Smith is only interested in making contact. And that looks like, whoa! And now Smith backs off. He didn't judge the speed correctly as they go past a Scotty the Squirrel statue. That is amazing. I've never seen that before. And the tractor man here, as it is the banjo player waving to everybody who has traded his banjo in for a tractor. And it looks like here Smith now 2 seconds back as they come on by the tractor, and it looks like Robertson 14 seconds back, going to be joined by the rest of the chase group. That is going to be Biglar and Kaiser now. So Biglar, Robertson, Kaiser, 3 off the back. This has been splintered. This course is so incredibly difficult, and I think the reality of the difficulty of the course is starting to show in these time gaps and how people are unable to hang on. It is just all about who the strong men are pushing the paces at the front now, as it looks like Hodges and Smith now together, working together at this point. Not going to be bringing back Vanderheiden, the Dutchman, it looks like here, but they are going to be trying to hold off the chase there from the riders behind. See if we can get a view here of what the gap looks like. 21 seconds just off in the distance there. You can see the little dots there trying to make the chase down here, but not going to be bringing them back anytime soon. If they do get a concerted effort here, but Biglar now 3.4 watts per kilogram, so it doesn't look like they're that interested actually in bringing this chase, in bringing that breakaway back. I think it's a race for third out there out on course. So looking through some of the chatter here. Need to change my, looking through here, CS Tricks, thanks a lot for jumping into the chat here. Twitch chat, good to see everybody extremely active on the day. Facebook's fairly quiet out here today, but good to see that we've got plenty of activity over on Twitch. Hugh Bike in here. We're seeing Vegan Stew as well as Jan Hodcock. I think the climb is called Pot Bank. Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot, John, as he's letting us know what these places are. That's the thing. Being real places out in the real world, we want to name them in Zwift, and you don't necessarily. We might, especially with this Yorkshire course, we've got people who live here locally. It seems like there's a lot of opinion about the area. It's part of the Zwiftcast recently that we had on this course specifically being released. Simon Schofield, obviously born and raised in the area, and the reality of that kicked in with, there being all these places in real life that have their own names. We've had some opinions about, well, it's not exact. And then other people who are like, absolutely love it. It's a virtual world. It doesn't name it exactly. But according to Schofield, they've hit it pretty well as far as the exactness goes. But now being out here in Zwift, are we able to just name them ourselves? I'm not sure if that's going to be the Pot Bank is correct. We're being told by Dave Ranson. Dave Ranson, thanks a lot. I appreciate the help there. So Pot Bank is where we're looking at that 20% gradient. So very helpful, actually, and I'll definitely be using that in the commentary. What can we now? A lot of times the commentators are looking for something exciting when it comes to the names of the areas out on course. Pot Bank. What are we going to do with that one, guys? It's pot luck because we want to make sure we're not eating too much of the food before we hit that pot bank. But all right, moving into the last few kilometers here. Hodges is on the front, 5.8 watts per kilogram. It's going to be a battle between these two riders for the finish line, it looks like here. C. Smith now a little ways back, 5.9 watts per kilogram as they look to make their way to the line. Robertson, 50 seconds. Last climb on the day, I believe, before they do head on down into a left-hand turn into the UCI Harrogate finish banner. 6 watts per kilogram on the front, trying to break his competitor, it looks like perhaps. C. Smith now just able to hang on to the wheel here. Van der Heijden is off the front here. We'll go ahead and give a quick shout-out to him. He has been removed from the results in the community website, zwiftpower.com, but he will be the first one across the line virtually here. So Hodges, though, it looks like now still trying to break his competition. Robinson now 8 watts per kilogram, looking to go across, it looks like, or at least get the better of the other riders here on the climb, not looking for a sprint to the line here. Big Lard now trying to go across. Kaiser BRT now, the two Dutchmen now looking to grab onto some wheels. 165 beats from 550 watts. They're coming from Kaiser now. 84 RPM spinning down on the 9% gradient now. Smith and Hodges have gone over the top, and they're going to start to go away on this 0% gradient now. As long as they keep steady with the effort, though. Backing off the 1.6, he's looking for a wheel, perhaps. No, Smith and Hodges starting to play a little cat and mouse games here. Nobody interested in taking on the wind here. So it looks like Biglar may have a chance to close things down, but still on the uphill with 30 seconds up. Don't believe it's going to be happening as there's a little under 2 miles to go here now. Smith now on the front, forced to the front by Hodges. He starts to play some games here. Riders neck and neck here, actually, and it's not because they are pushing the pace. It's because they're looking to save as much energy as they can before they hit that sprint section. Who's it going to be, chat? We're looking at Hodges and Smith to the line, the Kiwi versus the UK man. And it looks like here Hodges gets onto the wheel. Smith backs off a little bit here. Smith now 176 beats per minute. Hodges drops down to 146. Hodges has about 20 beats to work with, that's for sure. I think Hodges here with has the better recovery on the day, even after doing each one of the Power Up Tour stages here. Smith now taking over. Hodges backing off the 0.9 watts per kilogram, actually. Really a cagey rider here, backing off full 10 beats per minute now at this point. Looking for a wheel. Now 0.9, though. Maybe too much of a reprieve here. Smith, though, now at 3 watts per kilogram, 168 beats per minute here. Able to drop his heart rate down only by about 15 beats, actually, as Hodges now just sits in on this downhill. Look at how well Hodges is playing this one. Smith is just being a leader. At 2 watts per kilogram, it's not a whole lot here, but every little bit matters, especially when you're looking to kick into into a 1100 watt sprint perhaps or something. So this really matters here. Smith continues to lead things out. The Kiwi maybe getting the better of him here is Hodges now. is about to take the left-hand turn. The banner's going to be right in front of them here in just a moment now. Who's going to open up first? A lot of times in these situations, that's what it's all about. And looking through, it's going to be Smith that opens it up first. Smith going now. And is he going to be able to hang on to this? He actually was extremely lucky, able to grab that arrow power-up, and that is definitely going to be an advantage in the sprint, but it's Hodges at the line, it looks like here. What a sprint by James Hodges. Amazing kick there. And even with the arrow power-up, this man cannot be defeated here. Kaiser and Robertson here now making their way to the line. It looks like it's going to be an arrow power-up here being dropped by Biglar here. A breakaway burrito being thrown down by Kaiser, but it's not going to matter with an arrow power-up in the ranks. Sprinting across the line for third place and spinning to win at 109. Robertson trying to come across here. Between those two, it looks like it is going to be Robertson, followed up by the BRT rider Kaiser here. So Biglar getting the better of the two BRT riders for the Bolt Racing team. Now it is going to be back in with the women's race as we've got a climb opening up here, 14% gradient uphill for Hegeset here. Hegeset still hammering away, it looks like. We do have, it looked like we had about 8 signed up for the women's race out here today. I'm going to see if we can find the official leaders out on course. Diot just coming across the line here in just a moment for the men. We're still looking through for here. We do have Daffin Williams as well. Our Parker here and Owen. But Daffin Williams, it looks like in 10th place, sitting on Riddick's wheel here. Eleanor Hegeset, though, currently in 2nd place overall. Biggins a little ways up from her. Now the gap, interesting to see, has come down. And Eleanor Hegeset, he's on a rampage, actually, coming into this finish line here in just a little bit here. Biggins, though, I believe, on the downhill section already and about to head on over toward the final climb of the day. But it's only about a 50-second gap here between the Fearless rider and Hegeset. So the Norwegian trying to chase down the woman out of the UK here. She's got a group around her here. Eleanor, though, I believe as well. From what I can see here, Eleanor does have some to work with a little bit, but she keeps on breaking them as she comes right on by here. And Burns from Ireland here a little ways up. She's going to have to close that down, but it looks like she is doing a great job of that. 2.9 watts per kilogram currently. Now 3.0. We're going to go ahead and give her a ride on as she currently holds the KOM as well on the other side of the course here. So pretty fast times it looks like here, also coming from Eleanor. Let me see if I can find the leaderboards here real quick as we're looking at Sasha Sasha, I believe, sitting in, let's see what place Sasha's sitting in here, but it does look like Sasha is sitting in about 8th place overall, I believe, hammering away out of Latvia. Looks like level 20 with 19 races in for Sasha here out here on course, actually. So Sasha S. And Sasha here now trying to chase down Beth Grogan, Mary Klein, Eleanor Hegeset, and Yasmin Biggins. So that's your top 3 in the race for the women's side of things currently. Back in with Eleanor Hegeset as she's averaged 3.3 watts per kilogram. And that has come up from sub 3 watts per kilogram, actually. And the gap here still going out to Yasmin Biggins, though. It is about a minute and a half here. They are on the same sections of course, though. They are continually on the same sections of course. Biggins going to take on that last climb here in just a moment, actually. So we'll see if we can jump back in with her as she makes her way toward the finish line. Doesn't look like we're going to have a sprint situation, but we may see a sprint between the ladies and those they are riding toward the finish line with out here on course. Let's see if we can find the front end of the race here in just a moment, actually. So I believe I'm in with Owens as well as Van Gool. It's Hanisch here. Walsh, they're just making their way over their final climb. I believe Biggins is just going to be starting her final climb here into the downtown area of Yorkshire. But Eleanor Hegeset here, through 3 watts per kilogram, pretty steady, 167 beats per minute. What have you thought of the tour so far, everybody? What's the question here? Nathan doesn't test on lambs. What are we talking about here? I haven't been watching chat, But we would love your coverage of the Power Up series. Nathan Hubike, thanks a lot. Appreciate the chat there coming on through. And again, the reason we're doing this is as a community thing. We definitely, these aren't official races. They're not a race series. It's mainly just about, hey, giving encouragement out there, letting everybody know that we're watching, we're paying attention to what's going on in the community. They're the most attended races and rides out there currently out on Zwift as well. So a lot of times we want to, whatever's kind of the hype at the time, whatever is the bigger events at the time. That's why we cover Fusion ECT as well as Lamb Chop. There'll be more, we're coming into the official Zwift season. Or at least for the world, the official Zwift season. There's all kinds of Zwift seasons, it seems like, at this point, with obviously with the Classics, the KISS Super League, and then it seems like there's kind of a community season that takes place in the fall. At least that's been the last 2 years or so. It's kind of been like that. Well, as things now go into what seems to be the community seasons, we will be looking for series to partner with. Obviously, we're partnering in with Fusion ECT. But we do want to have a very full schedule of races and series out there. So be on the lookout for more announcements as we look for those community partners for sure. What is this game name? Good to see you there, Harez Heikel. For those of you that are unfamiliar with Zwift, this is Zwift.com. Head on over to Zwift.com. I'll run a quick little promo if I do have one. I've got an older one though. I do not have the Fun is Fast one actually, as I do have an old one in our current preset. Because I was not expecting that question, but if you head on over to Zwift.com, here is. Thanks a lot for the question. You'll be able to find out exactly what this game is and what it's all about. It's a massive multiplayer online game in which real riders are battling it out on a course right now on a real-world replication of the current World Championships course, which is pretty amazing, actually. We do have the women's race here finishing up in just a moment as Yasmir, it looks like Biggins here from Team Fearless, bringing it in with a group of 5 of the boys out there, trying to chase down M. Walsh out of Ireland. T63 out of Sweden, D. King, it looks like, as well as Van Castile here for Team Syracusa. That's a very long name. It's funny how when the name comes through slowly and you look, you're like, maybe I finished that name. Maybe I finished the name. Nope, there's more to that name. Syracusani out of Italy. So Biggins here now bringing her way to the line. You will see if she can get the better of the boys in the sprint. She looks to sit in a little bit here. And 3 watts per kilogram, it looks like. Second wheel here. V Fox now going, though it looks like they're 10 watts per kilogram coming from Vixen Fox team here. Biggins now 5.2 watts per kilogram as she opens up her sprint. Is she going to get up out of the saddle is the question here. It looks like D. King is going to get the better of her. Will she be able to hold on to the line just ahead of the Italian? But no, but she will get Sweden at the line, though. But this is first place overall for the women. We still have Hegeset making her way to the line, about to make that left-hand turn. Not going to be beat by too much, and she actually, I think, was just kind of riding for fun up front and then closed down some gaps, actually, as she went from about halfway through the pack and just picked off riders all day long here. So solid ride here from Hegeset. Able to catch Mary Klein out there. And Klein, actually, it looks like maybe a little too many matches burnt early on the day here. Looking through the KOM banners, actually, for the women, Hegeset actually setting the fastest time at 3:13 over the top of the KOM. We're looking at Biggins there at 3:19, Mander there at 3:39. That's for this direction on the KOM. Let's see if we can find the other direction here, perhaps, and see if if it was Biggins or if it was the rider Hegeset here who's holding on to that KOM. I believe it was. From what I can, it is going to be Hegeset because it shows reverse as well as this way. So she actually grabbed both of the KOMs. So my feeling on the situation here is that she was more interested in the ride and then was like, maybe it's time to race. Now, she does sit on the Z Sun rider's wheel here. Takes over the lead now at this point. And JF, it looks like Z Sun going to battle it out on that Tron bike. Hegeset here now on the S-Works. A little bit of a kick there. 5 watts per kilogram. 6.2 watts per kilogram now coming from JF here. Hegeset not super interested. It looks like 6 watts per kilogram. The gap is open up and out of the saddle here. Hegeset now up into 5 watts per kilogram. Doesn't look like she's going to be, maybe going to be able to close it down. And perhaps right at the line here, JF fading. But no, looks like Hegaset's going to be taken second on the day. So solid efforts there all around, though, for the men and the women. Now, we do not have results page officially for the broadcast out here. A lot of times we do have official broadcast graphics, but not for these specific races. But I can bring in ZwiftPower.com. We do have that ability. And we'll be able to do that without the graphics, but at least we can bring in what is here for the community website. If you're unfamiliar, again, with ZwiftPower.com, just head on over to ZwiftPower.com. You'll be able to check out the events. I'll go ahead and show you guys how you do that. This is what you see when you jump into ZwiftPower.com. You see a list of all of the rides and races that are out there on the day. TFC Summer Series is going on. That's something I've been thinking about broadcasting, actually, everybody. Maybe we'll jump back in with TFC here on Fridays as we try to fill out. But as you can see here, this is the event that we were a part of. Go ahead and click on that. You can see the results. Now, this is what happens after you've had people finish for the results. If you were going to go to the live tab, or you would also have a sign-ups tab that would be here at the top if the event had not started, so you can see who is signed up for the event as well. But as you can see, James Hodge is taking the win just ahead of Carl Smith, solid 0.14 seconds there. So hundredths of a second there. Gerbert Vander Biglar coming across the line, 40-11 there. Keith Robertson from the BRT, and Bart Kaiser coming through in 5th place, as you can see here. Back in with the women's situation here, it looks like Yasmin Biggins and Eleanor Hegaset coming across the line. We head on over to the live tab. The new awesome live tracker is up there. As you can see, Ossenbrook and Klein about to come across the line here. It looks like for the B category, Mary Klein still making her way to the line, though. Looks like at 15-12 and still on the climb out there today. But this is a situation. It looks like it's going to be a battle between Mander, perhaps, and Klein. So let's go ahead and jump back in. Perhaps we can find them out on course as they make their way to the finish line. Might be difficult if these riders did do a quick little turnaround. But it'd be cool to see if Mander, along with Klein, are going to battle it out. I'm not sure we're going to be able to find them on course. That is one of the struggles that we do have sometimes when it comes to broadcast tools, everybody, is being able to find everybody out on course for each one of the events, actually. But if we do find Mander, we will jump back in with them in just a moment and see that effort that they are making, because there is definitely a battle going on out on course between the two riders, but not sure we're going to be able to find. Oh, and we have found it, actually. 16 seconds is the difference here. Let's see if I can bring this feed up. And here we go. Looks like Klein here, 20 seconds up. S. Mander here trying to make the chase there. 2.2 watts per kilogram, actually, between these women. This is the battle for third place. Still right behind here. It's going to be Tustio here for the BRT Hellcats now, as well, trying to make a chase now. Klein there with an arrow power-up, though, pretty luckily to grab that there. Mary Klein had a second place locked up, it looked like, but was caught by Helgeset. Now trying to battle it out for third. Mander here now to US of A. 2.7 watts per kilogram, 162 beats per minute. So it looks like Mary Klein here with that sprint jersey as well. Now she's got to grab onto the wheel, though. There's an arrow power up here coming from T. Parker now. 143 beats per minute coming from him. He looks like he's got quite the effort left. Now it looks like this is more about opening up gaps perhaps at this point. You know now. It looks like out of Japan, leading out Klein. Klein jumps him to 4.8, though, looking to battle it out with the boys, it looks like. And backs right on off as she comes through, though. Parker gets the gap, and it looks like it's going to be a battle between these two riders to the line. Nagy here now, it looks like, up and out of the saddle, getting the better of Prescott by 45 seconds, though, so just sprinting for himself, it looks like here. Prescott here now, 7 seconds up from Pierce here out of the Netherlands, and then it's going to be Parker there, 12 seconds back from him. 4 seconds is the difference between these two riders. Will there be a little bit of sprint, though, as the heart rate came way up, actually, for T. Parker here. Parker maybe at threshold. And at 3.5 watts per kilogram, Klein, if she's got a kick, she can close down 5 seconds. Here now, looking to make his way to the front, 4.1 watts per kilogram. Klein looking to grab onto the wheel, perhaps. Will she be able to do so is the question. This is third place overall in the women's race now. And with 35-second gap back to Mander, as Mander's out of sight, out of mind here. Now it looks like going to be getting the better of Mary Klein. Mary Klein across the line there. Third place overall. Solid effort there for Klein. as she comes across line and has the Sprinters jersey on. All right, that's going to be it for us on the Power Up Tour for the Rulers stage, everybody. Let's go ahead and take a look at chat here if there's any questions or comments coming on through. We have tomorrow a race. We're hearing from Vegan Rabbit, actually. We need a race league for sure. Chase the Vegan Series, Vegan Sue is saying as well. So we'll see if we can get something going with you guys. It's how about WTR? So Jeff Duncan, definitely something that we've looked at and something I've been thinking about. The only reason, actually, to be honest, that we did not cover it right now, like in this series of rides that have been going on, is mainly because of some other conflicts with other things that were already planned way in advance. So I was unaware of the WTRL until probably a week before it really started in this series of races. And it was actually because some of the Vision team was chatting about it. So it is on the radar. WTRL is on the radar. It's definitely something, especially if we start getting if we start getting a situation where the time trial mode has some cool broadcast tools around it, and we can really start seeing each person's perspective from time trial mode. So as time trial mode, if we can use that with team time trials as well, if we can get a team time trial mode, man, would that be cool with all the stats and all the with lots of cool graphics support in game? Be really good to see. So if you guys are always present in that, good to hear. And maybe starting next week. Now, next week, we're going to have a lot less broadcasts. This week, we had like 9, 10 broadcasts this week. Next week, Fusion ECT, everybody. And I believe that we are also going to do the Thursday edition of the UCI races, those UCI road races that are going on, right? So there's the time trials going on the first half of the week, and the second half of the week, there's the scratch races. We'll be doing the Thursday edition of the scratch races at prime time next week. And that's going to be about it for ZCL, as obviously Lamb Chop as well next week. So a little bit less broadcast next week. Let's see if anything else has happened in chat here. WTR, fingers crossed. Thanks a lot. We need to get your broadcast as a window on the Daryl Carter. Head on over to the forums and I think I'd have to agree. I think we've been chatting about that for about 2 years actually. But Daryl Carter, I appreciate the shout out, and it would be absolutely awesome if for some of the bigger events that when you jumped into an event, it just popped up, the broadcast just popped up onto the companion app. It'd be really great. All right, that's going to be it for us, everybody, as we watch Prescott do his cool down. We will be back next week. We may be able to broadcast tomorrow the final stage. Keep eyes out on notifications on Facebook for when we do schedule that broadcast. We've got a couple hoops to jump through to make sure that we can get out there for the broadcast of tomorrow's stage. If not, we will see you guys next week, Tuesday, for Fusion ECT, obviously. If you haven't done so already, wherever you're watching, hit that follow button, hit that like button, as well as turn on your notifications for any time that we do go live. All the VODs are available over on YouTube as well as Twitch. They're available forever on YouTube. I think they're available for 90 days on Twitch. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week. As always, great job to all the racers out there between the women's and the men's races, and ride on.